That might be the male of the female. Female just swam by. Incredible tank that's only gonna get better. I am experimenting with GH and KH right now. I got my test strips going. And once my GH and KH are solved, there's literally nothing else I can do to the water here to make it any better. What's up guys, and welcome back to the Primordia Science channel. I'm going to be talking about a few science aspects of keeping freshwater aquariums, such as mainly just KH and GH today. So KH is carbonate hardness, and it measures carbonate ions and bicarbonate ions in your water, and those ions help to buffer the pH. It prevents your pH from skyrocketing high and plummeting low, and you don't want that to happen. You don't want your pH to go up and down like in crazy shifts like that, because that'll stress out the fish and potentially kill them. So you want there to be some carbonate and bicarbonate ions in your water to help prevent that sort of shift in the pH, and that's measured by KH, carbonate hardness. And you might be wondering why it's called KH instead of CH for carbonate. I think it's because it's like a German word that was carbonate spelled with a K, but that's why it's a K instead of a C. It confused me too, but just know that KH is carbonate hardness, and it measures carbonate and bicarbonate ions in the water, which help to buffer your pH. And in nature, they occur naturally in water, in like rivers and lakes from certain rocks, I think limestone. But rocks will produce those bicarbonate and carbonate ions in naturally occurring water, which is why if you're keeping fish, if you're trying to create a biotope of a specific ecosystem, you should, measure your KH and try to keep it in the right levels. And the right levels depend on what species you're keeping, but around 30 to 60 ppm KH is good, I'd say, for most tropical fish. But again, if you're trying to specifically hone in on a particular species to try to breed them, you gotta be able to make those little minute changes in the KH. And how I change my KH is through Seachem's Alkaline Buffer. You could also use baking soda, but there are some problems with that. It's good for like a temporary fix, but long-term usage of baking soda will cause... Just do your research. The research I've done has led me to use Seachem's Alkaline Buffer. So that's carbonate hardness, KH, and the other one is GH, general hardness. Like, how hard is your water? How soft is your water? When people ask that question, they're not just talking about how much dissolved stuff is in your water. That's TDS, total dissolved solids, and you can measure that with a TDS meter. When people talk about how hard or soft is your water, that question is asking specifically about your calcium and magnesium ion content in your water. So how many calcium and magnesium ions are present in your water gives you your general hardness of that water. But it's tricky because it doesn't tell you how much of calcium and magnesium. It just tells you, it totals it. It totals the calcium and magnesium and gives you your general hardness score, parts per million. So if you get like a general hardness score of 30 parts per million, you still don't know how much of those 30 parts per million is calcium and how much of it is magnesium. And so for that, you would need a specific calcium test. But yeah, that's GH, general hardness, calcium and magnesium. And carbonate hardness is carbonates and bicarbonates. KH, GH, very important when keeping fish. But honestly, before you get into KH and GH, you need to know the fish cycle. You need to know the fish cycle, the nitrogen cycle. So how beneficial bacteria convert ammonia to nitrites and nitrates. You need to know that. You need to establish that before you start thinking about KH and GH. But you should eventually learn about KH and GH for sure. This is a new plant I got, Anubias. It's floated to the top because I haven't really decided where to put it. The other Anubias I put right there, it's going to grow well into this huge log. This is also a little botanical, some sort of tropical fruit shell. There's like this weird fungus growing on it, but it's it's whatever. I'm just testing it out, trying to put some tannins into the water. And that's the Anubias, African species. This bristlenose is going at it, keeping it clean from the stringy hair algae that loves to grow right there. And the guppies give their babies, they drop babies into that green algae right there. You'll find little guppy babies. And the guppies love this water because the TDS is so high. But that's a problem because I'm trying to keep all these South American species, which is why I'm getting into KH and GH so hardcore right now. And my plan to reduce the TDS here. So, okay, so the KH and GH in this tank are perfect, right? But the total TDS is too high, which means apart from the KH and GH, there's other crap in the water that I don't know. And that's because I've been using tap water dechlorinated with Seachem's dechlorinator, and now I'm upgrading to no longer using my tap water, which is going to be an awesome upgrade for the health of my fish and my plants. So I'm getting an RODI system installed. It's super easy. It was 79 bucks. I can put the link down below, but I have these HDX totes, 27-gallon totes, 2 of them, and my plan is to just keep them full of RODI water that I remineralize with Seachem Equilibrium for the GH and Seachem Alkaline Buffer for the KH in the right amounts. So once I got that down to a science for exactly what it needs, what level of equilibrium and alkaline buffer it needs to be at the proper levels for my fish, I can just keep pulling from that reservoir every time I do a water change. So I know for sure there's no extra crap in there that might be coming from my tap water. Like, sure, tap water has minerals, and you don't want fish swimming in RODI water. And sure, tap water has minerals, you know, but there's a lot of minerals that shouldn't belong in tanks. That's the problem. There are good minerals, but there's also some bad minerals, bad chemicals that shouldn't be in any amount in an aquarium. So having an RODI system is awesome because you get to literally control the KH and GH to your liking and not add anything that doesn't belong in the water. A lot of people are like, oh, I wish I lived in Florida, or I wish I lived in Washington State to get those water parameters out of the tap. It's like, if you just got an RO system, you could mimic any biotope, essentially, any municipality, just by controlling the KH and GH by adding, you know, teaspoons of equilibrium and alkaline buffer to RODI water. And it's a learning curve at first, but if you just commit to it, you know, it's very hands-off, and you're just going to love what you're able to witness happen in your tanks. Your fish are going to just thrive because you're replicating their ecosystem exactly like it occurs in the wild, and you're not going to get diseases. And if you get diseases, you know that it was something out of your control, you know, because you did everything. You did KH, you controlled the KH, the GH, and you established a fish cycle. At that point, if a fish gets sick, it has to be because of old age or something going on internally in that fish. And also, I'm not going to make these changes into my water immediately. That's not good. You shouldn't make big changes in water parameters for fish, because for fish, the water is it's like permeating throughout their body. Like, they are the water essentially. So whenever you make changes to the water, you got to do gentle changes, not too drastic changes. And that's my plan. When I do a water change, it'll be from the new RODI water that got remineralized, and I'm not going to do a big change. So just throughout the coming weeks, this water will get better and better as it gets slowly replaced with 180 TDS, 30, 40 KH, and 60 GH water. And those numbers are going to be refined, but that's what I'm going to be doing water changes here on this tank and on this tank and on these 2 little tanks where I'm keeping the babies of the angelfish. Here's the babies. It's really cool. They eat from my hand just like little puppies. So if I get a snail here, got a little mystery snail, or I mean a bladder snail. So they know I'm about to hand feed them right now. They're coming up. So I move these plants aside. Look at that. Look how ready they are. So I cracked the snail. Kind of cruel, I guess, but look at that. Hand feeding fish. Hand feeding baby angelfish. such a treat to witness and obviously to do. Just to be able to see fish in the Amazon rainforest when I was there is very difficult. We caught like one catfish, and the waterways of the Amazon are bursting with life, you know, but it's not always a guarantee that they're going to come right up to your face, you know. Can't expect wildlife to do that, which is why I love aquariums, especially when I'm enhancing my ecosystem in my land with the water from these tanks to increase my soil health. That's when it all comes around. And you know, I look at the faces of the kids that come here. Sometimes my neighbors' kids will come here and they're just ecstatic. They're like mind blown. So I love this room. You know, this is the Dragon Den fish room, and it's still kind of improving. Like I want to put some stuff up here. Like I have a jaguar artwork that I'm working on. I'm not finished with it, but I want to put it up here. And my plan is to put some pothos plants up here like that. So it'll just seem like a very jungle vibe going on. I want plants coming out from the top, you know, just like how Adrian from the channel Keeping Fish Simple, he did a tour of Adrian's fish room, and that blew my mind. That fish room is it's my biggest inspiration for aquarium stuff, aquarium rooms. He's the Michael Jordan for me when it comes to aquariums. Those are the type of freshwater aquariums I want to create. But yeah, one day I'll get some discus. They're not the cheapest fish in the world, but right now I'm focused on creating a riparian biotope. I mean, not a riparian biotope, but an Amazonian, yeah, I guess a riparian biotope for angelfish, because these guys are getting so big, even for the 40 gallon. This is 17 inches in height, and with the soil, it's less than 17. It's like honestly, it might be 12 inches in height with how much soil I have in here. So I'm moving these guys out of here and putting them in a 55 gallon high, which will be 24 inches long, and I'm going to put sand on the bottom to try and recreate their biotope from the Amazon. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know if I should do like a layer of ADA on the bottom of the sand or just have sand. I do want plants to grow in there. I want some Valsinaria to just grow and drape over the top like how it is in this tank, because when it does that, it provides them cover on top, and it really looks like an ecosystem, as you can see, and they feel very good. They feel hidden. That's what makes them feel comfortable, and it just looks beautiful to me. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's like taking a sneak peek into the Amazon, although all these plant species are not native to the Amazon. But yeah, I love this tank, and I'm gonna make it better because I don't want fish getting sick. My fish don't really get sick much at all, but when they do, I don't want it to feel like I could have done more, you know. And then once I get this KH and GH problem solved, fish won't get sick as much because their parameters are going to be exactly like what they need. And when they do, I won't feel too guilty about it because I did everything I could in my power. But here's the thing about water, it's infinitely complex, as is everything else in science. So, but the basic parameters you should control are, you know, your ammonia, nitrite, and nitrates, which is understanding the fish cycle, the nitrogen cycle. That's number one. And then it's understanding GH, KH, and TDS. So those are basic things to understand and control in water when keeping aquatic animals. And you don't want to overwhelm yourself. It's just like, if you just master those, you're good to go for keeping freshwater fish. And honestly, saltwater fish too. I just don't know much about saltwater. Never kept saltwater fish. I want to. It's just very expensive. So like the video, share the video so I can get some views and maybe get a saltwater tank and share some more cool science with you guys. Oh, here's my coolie loach. He's out. But yeah, I'm about to feed these tanks right now. Feeding this 75 is actually pretty cool. So I'll show I'll show that. Let's take some fish food, some flakes, get a big pinch, and then you bring that pinch into this wave maker, dunk it in, and you see what happens. This is why the kids love this tank. It's just an underwater paradise. And I invested a lot of time into this tank, so this is not a tank that you're just gonna be able to produce in a week or even a month. This is a 7-month-old tank. I put a lot of work into it initially. Now all I do is that every day I just put in a pinch of food, and I do like a weekly or bi-weekly water change, because there's just so many live plants here that handle the water quality. But I want to minimize water changes even further, because with my new RODI system and the KH/GH control, once I do enough water changes with that awesome water, the controlled parameter water, I am expecting, hypothesizing that this tank is going to come to a state where it's even more hands-off, and I can start to really apply some of the things I learned from Father Fish's videos and how he does no water changes. I want to try to do that, you know. And I learned a lot from his videos about anaerobic gas buildup, and I used a lot of the science that he has taught me into this tank, into creating it. Oh, here's some ghost shrimp. Can't believe these guys are reproducing. That's awesome to see, because I was unaware if my ghost shrimp were being eaten by the tetras and stuff, but they're there and they're multiplying. That's awesome. Then I can get some neocardinas too once the water problem is fully solved. But yeah, I also applied a lot of stuff I learned from Diana Wallstead, watching her videos, into this tank. I just love planted tanks. I love complete ecosystems, and I love ecosystems in general. It's just hard, it's expensive to travel to them and camp out in Yellowstone, to camp out in East Africa, and to do expeditions in the Amazon continuously. For me right now, I traveled a lot, so this is kind of how I satiate my hunger for being in an ecosystem, connecting with nature. It's these planted tanks. And there's a lot I can talk about when it comes to ecology and relate it to some of the major ecosystems on planet Earth that I've visited by using this as a model. So I may make videos like that coming up. Look at these guys swimming toward the wave maker, the black neons. I love that algae eater with the golden stripe on his body. This tank is not really camera ready right now. There's some algae growing. I need to get some autosinkless catfish to clear that up. But I haven't bought fish in this tank for a long time. So it's about time I get a few more algae eaters, because unfortunately 2 of my autos died, I think of old age or because of a fungal infection. See, I don't know why they died, because I never controlled the KH and GH, and it'll be awesome to finally control those parameters and see how much happier my fish get. The TDS in this tank is kind of high, 320 something, and the KH and GH tested for like 60 GH and 40 KH, which leaves like over 200 ppm of other stuff floating around in this water. And that's the problem in my tanks. It's that I never really controlled the GH and KH. I was just so invested in the actual nitrogen cycle, I totally ignored those 2 parameters that are basic parameters in water that everybody should at one point in fish keeping get into and master, because you want your fish to be as happy and healthy as possible. You're keeping them in this controlled environment. That's your responsibility, right? All right, guys, stay tuned for some angelfish video updates where I recorded them laying eggs on the slate with the Nikon camera. Got some of the best shots of my life of wildlife in a controlled environment, which makes it like a lot easier than actually filming wildlife in the wild. It's straight up cheating, but it's such a pleasure it's such a joy to record aquariums because the lighting's there, the wildlife's there. It's just, yeah, I like doing this. All right, guys, this is it for this one. Let me know how you guys enjoyed this video, what you learned, what you didn't learn. I don't know, just start talking in the comments below. Stay tuned for more videos here on the Primordial Science channel. If you like this video, give it a like, please. Thank you. And a comment and a share if possible, if you learned a thing or two, or if you have somebody who wants to dive deeper into aquarium, the science behind aquarium and fish keeping. Yeah, share it. Until next time, guys, and remember, keep it wild.